Hey everyone, it's your professional sarcastic man and secret of attention Oz Chris here with a video of unresolved story arcs. So I was rereading Green Lanterns and I realized they set up something for the future, which to this day the series has not touched back on. So if you don't know the basis, this has been out for like 2 years, but the basis for kind of Green Lanterns is just the two like most recent Green Lanterns of Earth, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz or Cruz, are they are forced to become partners and work alongside each other as like the new Green Lanterns of Sector 2814, I think it is, 2814, and dealing with their first threat, which happens to be Atrocitus and the Red Lantern Corps, which have somehow arrived. And I think that's one thing I don't think they addressed how Atrocitus is back, unless like I've read Red Lanterns. I don't like in Red Lanterns. It's shown that he seemingly like he dies when like this new Red Lantern character, like the judge, I think, was deemed that Atrocitus's Red Lanterns and herself are too dangerous to be kept alive and they all needed to be killed. So she killed all of them and left Guy Gardner and his Red Lanterns alive. But I think Guy keeps on referring to the fact he refers to Atrocitus as if he was still alive, but I was under the assumption that like Atrocitus was dead. Like, and there's also several of the Red Lanterns that are with him. I think, like, remembering from reading Red Lanterns, I think they 100% died, like, in Red Lanterns. So how they are alive, I'm not sure. Like, I know there was a story arc with Green, between all like the Lantern titles in the New 52 Godhead that had something to do with the life equation or the source wall. So unless like that caused them to come back alive, I don't remember if it actually did. I know it brought back a couple of characters. It brought back Black Hand and it brought back I think it was a Relic, but because that was one thing. Like when I first initially was reading Green Lanterns when Rebirth first started, it's just like I'm like Atrocitus is dead, and like several of these Red Lanterns, I'm pretty sure like apart from Bleeze, like the rest of those Red Lanterns and like Atrocitus, I'm pretty sure they died. Like Atrocitus, it was hugely like assumed that he did die. The other ones that were there, we saw them die in the Red Lantern series. So how were they back? I don't know, but the main crux for this video, the main part of this video, unresolved story arc, is that, like I said, they set up a story, they set up something that will most likely be a story in the future, and it's Atrocitus creating a new rage entity, Red Dawn. I don't think that's the actual name. He just refers. The prophecy is called like Red Dawn. As it is coming and no one can stop it. Our greatest triumph yet, Red Dawn. And like the whole plot of this Rage Planet was Atrocitus trying to fulfill this prophecy of Red Dawn and creating a new rage entity. Since the previous ones all sacrificed themselves to reserve the reservoir for the emotional spectrum, because it was depleted and would lead to the destruction of the universe. So all except Parallax sacrificed themselves. So that would have been an interesting new story to continue off of. There's a rage entity hiding inside of Earth, slowly building itself up, and I don't know, maybe eventually freeing itself, or Atrocitus returns to free it out of the core. Um, Not sure how, but it would have been an interesting story arc to see. But for some reason they have not, they haven't touched back on this story arc, the Rage Planet story arc. Not sure why. Hopefully with like Dan Jurgens taking over, because I know Jurgens is taking over from number 50, which comes out this week, July 4th, I believe. Yes, Jurgens' first run with Green Lantern starts with number 50. So hopefully, like after he does his one, maybe it'll maybe he'll they can touch back upon that. Because like the idea of the entities is an interesting idea, and it wasn't until like after was it the original Green Lantern Rebirth and like Sinestro Corp, like mainly during the Blackest Day and Blackest Night and Brightest Day. I mean, that they started to touch more upon the entities, and then they did it a lot during the New 52 as well, leading up to them sacrificing himself. It's an interesting concept to touch upon. I feel like, and since it was just left there, like it's something that's going to happen. They haven't touched back onto it yet. Go for it. No, just pretty much just go for it. There's a story idea that a new rage entity is back, and they have to stop it all. And given the whole like that emotional spectrum reservoir, a new entity of like the emotional spectrum being alive could worry the Green Lanterns or any of the other Lantern Corps, because since they know that, I don't know if there's still a thing on DC Rebirth, but in the New 52, the more they use the emotional spectrum, the quickly the reservoir drains, and that was one of the things that led to the previous like universe, the previous universe to being destroyed, is because their versions of the lanterns, the lightsmiths, were constantly using the power, and Relic was trying to figure out what is happening, how to stop this, but he failed to stop it in his universe, and then he tried it again in the main universe, the DC universe. So, work on something like that. It's an unresolved story arc that, like, no, the story itself is kind of it's done. Like the story is done. It's just that little bit at the end. I feel like you could definitely touch back on again. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it, and that's it for the video. Leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, check out my previous videos, and I will see you all next time.